What's going on, everybody? I just want to go over a few tidbits about programming in Unity. The first thing I want to cover is the difference between declaring a public and private variable. So a variable is anything that can change in a program, or anything that can be different when a program is run. So speed can be different, we can make this a different number, jump speed, movement, all this stuff can be all these things can be different. A public variable allows us to change this setting in the Unity program itself. So if we go to the inspector for the object that this is applied to, we can change what this number starts off with. Even if we set it to 5 here, we can go into Unity and change it to 3 if we change our minds. So this allows us to edit the variable outside of the code. That's what a public variable allows us to do inside Unity. A private variable does not allow us to edit it inside Unity. We can only set this inside the actual code. So that's the difference between public and private. When would you set something to public versus private? Wouldn't it make sense to always just set it to public? It could. There are some variables that we know we're never going to change, otherwise it might break the game. If that is the case, then we would just set it to private. If we might want to toy with things a little bit without having to go into code, we'd set it to public. They're just two options. In many cases, it doesn't matter which we do. In some cases, it might. But it's good to know that we have those options. So let's go down here for a moment to this area. It says rigid body equals get component, then in brackets rigid body 2D. So this is being placed in the start method. So right when the game is run, we are telling Unity to get the rigid body 2D component, meaning we are going to be using it. So what this is basically saying is that we are going to utilize the rigid body 2D component. If we don't get this component in our code, then our movement, left and right, or our jump movement will not work properly, or at the very least has a very high chance of not working the way we want it to. That's why we have to get that component. Let's go down here a little bit to the update method. So we see here a lot of code that has to do with movement. In this case, we have rigid body dot velocity equals new vector 2 and a lot of stuff afterwards. This vector 2 right here indicates that we're working with two axes, x and y. This first entry in parentheses beside vector 2 indicates that this is what's going to happen on the x-axis, and this second entry after the comma, this is what's going to happen on the y-axis. If we were working in a 3D game, we'd be working with the z-axis as well, and we'd type vector 3 and some more stuff afterwards. There would be an entry for what's going to happen on the z-axis right here, for example. Whatever would apply right there. So we're working with two axes, x and y, and this code just does the calculation for how we're going to move and how fast we're going to move. That's all that we really need to know for this. Finally, let's look at the bottom code right here. What this is basically saying is, if we are pressing the button that is assigned to jump, if that jump button is being pressed down, then we perform this code to jump at the correct speed and at the correct height. And that's really all that it's saying. If we're pressing the jump button, then do what we have to do to get our character to jump at a certain height and at a certain speed. So it can be kind of overwhelming at times to look at lines like this and be like, geez, I don't know what the heck is going on here. Things are being multiplied, there's things that equal other things. You just have to know a few of the main tidbits and a few of the main details, like the things I just went over. And if you can understand those, then you can have a pretty decent understanding of what is going on here. So these variables, speed, jump speed, movement, These are all being set to certain speeds when the game, and the code down here is doing different things to make the character move properly. And that is really about it for this. So hopefully we understand coding in Unity just a little bit better than we did before.